Hi, this is Tamara with Anything is Possible. I hope you're doing really well today. I am sitting out here on my patio because it is such an absolutely gorgeous day, and I thought you'd like to see me in a little different environment. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the process of moving itself. It is quite involved in terms of the various different facets of moving, and the way I compartmentalized it in my thinking and my activities really helped to kind of keep moving things forward when something was waiting for a deadline or waiting for something to happen in one area. Then things wouldn't come to a halt. I could keep moving forward in different areas. So I was constantly every day making some effort forward. It was really easy to get sidetracked. I love to do certain things, and I just found that I really needed to kind of keep myself on track, keep myself focused constantly on the goal of moving. If you don't do that, it's easy to waste a lot of time. Although it's nice to get together with friends and have lunches and that sort of thing, you got to really keep track of your time and not spend a lot of time getting sidetracked. That 99% of your energy the next few months has got to be putting one foot in front of the other and staying focused and putting your energy into doing something to get yourself moved to the next place where you want to be. So let me go through the various steps with you here.
I made a chart that shows basically the amount of effort that I felt I spent on each of the activities or facets of moving. There was culling all my stuff. Another one was the actual sale of the house and interviewing and selecting a realtor. And the effort of showing the house, keeping it clean, keeping up the garden. And then there was a whole effort involved in the residency requirements for the country that you're moving, all the paperwork and the applications you have to put for immigration and importing your goods. Then there was interviewing movers and getting estimates on how much the move was going to cost, and getting stuff packed and ready to go. Family logistics involved my animals and how I was going to move them and what they needed to have along on the trip. And finally, the automobile readiness included both mechanically getting my car ready for the trip, making sure a mechanic had gone through everything, and also if everything would fit into my car that I needed. Culling all my stuff through in the shop and in my house was a huge job, partly because I had inherited all of my dad's things. I kept all of my power tools and brought them. I sold almost everything on Facebook Marketplace or local groups. I didn't do any garage sales. I just sold things on Marketplace as I would come across them. Price them so that they will sell, not what they're worth. Gave all of my clothes away to charities and plants to my garden club plant sale. Donated all of my books to Friends of the Library. I found that thrift shops were actually getting pickier than they used to be. So in the end, I actually took a lot of stuff, just put it in my carport, took pictures of what I could, and let people have at it from the neighborhood, and people came and cleaned it out.
One of the hardest things about moving is all the sorting and culling of everything, and deciding what you're going to keep and what you're going to get rid of and what you're going to have a mover move and what you're going to take yourself. But what you have to do is just take it room by room or topic by topic. If you have a hobby and things are spread out all over, try and get all those things together into one spot. What I suggest is using a technique that I actually learned years ago through a course called the Passion Test. And it doesn't really have anything to do with sorting your things, but it has to do with every aspect of life, really. Every time you have to make a decision, you have to decide what is more important to you. So there's two different things. You can take it as a top-down approach and say, okay, these things I cannot live without. These are hobbies that I have that I need tools for. And this is something that is passed down through my family. Nobody else wants it, and I need to keep it, and I want it in my life. It will make my house feel like a home once I'm in a new location. I inherited a whole lot of things from my dad. I inherited a whole lot of things from a lot of the family, my mother and grandparents and great-grandparents and friends of the family. And, a lot of this stuff I had to kind of look at and go, okay, is there anybody else in the family that would like this? I brought along my musical instruments. I brought along my woodworking tools because I love doing carpentry and woodworking. I brought my sewing things. I brought all my supplies for doing enameling, which is a craft I used to love to do, and I really never had time to do it. So now is the time. And I know that I will not be able to get that stuff in Mexico. So Passion Test teaches you techniques to make decisions based on what is most important to you. So you can take two or three things and say, out of this group, what is it that I couldn't live without? And anything else gets to find a new home. Sorting, I want to caution you, a lot of people move down to Mexico and they get rid of almost everything and think they can replace it. Now, if you're a very social person and what you plan on doing down here is mostly socializing and going to concerts and art galleries, and it doesn't require any tools or things like that, yeah, that will be fine. You'll be great. But if you have hobbies like I do that actually require specialized equipment and supplies, I would caution you not to expect to find it here. It will be difficult. Unless you live in a big city, you probably would be able to find things. But I live in a small town in a more rural area, and quite honestly, it is really hard to even find decent clothes.
Another step in the process is selling your house. The first thing you have to do is make sure you get all necessary home repairs done, get the house looking really perfect, nice and clean, empty the house except for a very few pieces of essential furniture, and get your garden looking perfect. So you got to do all your sorting and getting your stuff out of there before you list.
Interviewed about 5 different realtors, and boy, if you do that, you'll find out very quickly that what they think your house is worth is all over the map. So I ended up picking one that actually came in kind of high on what they thought my house was worth, but they truly understood what my house was about. And so this realtor got what my house was about, and she had a plan on how to market it. Other people just looked at the comps and said, well, other houses in the neighborhood look like this, but it didn't make me feel like they were really going to be able to target who they were going to market the house to. So I was really happy with my choice. It took quite a while to sell the house, and we had to come down in the price once, but overall I've had somebody that I really enjoyed working with and who did a great job marketing my house, and I'm really happy with the decision. So I would encourage you not to just pick one realtor and list the house You talk to several different people and you'll get a lot of different angles on the same job, and it's really interesting, and you'll learn a lot.
So then you list the house and you wait. You have to have the house clean all the time, and the garden has to be perfect all the time, and you have to be able to leave the house when somebody wants to come and look at it. So it's a little bit of a disturbance, but it's well worth the wait. Another step in the process is to get your visa application done. Contact your local consulate, try and get an appointment. I got mine about 3 months before I was planning to move, and filled out the application. There's necessary financial requirements that need to be met, and it involved a trip up to Portland for me to go up and be interviewed by the consulate and see if I fit the requirements.
Well, I'm going to have to change perspectives here because Felix has decided to take over the chair I was sitting in. Another thing that you need to do is pick a mover. And it's kind of a mundane task that's not really very fun, and I only really looked at 2 different movers. I got estimates from 2 of them. One of them was much more thorough. They actually sent somebody out to take a look at what I had in my house and came up with an estimate of how much they thought it would weigh and how much truckload space it would take, and gave me an estimate, and it was very reasonable. That was the one that I picked. I felt more comfortable with them. Even though the other was highly recommended, and of course I don't know which one would have been better, but as it turns out, the one I picked, it ended up being twice as much as what they had estimated it would be. I guess everything just ended up weighing more and taking up more space, mostly weighing more. I had a lot of heavy tools for my woodworking and stuff. And so, once it was down here, I couldn't argue with it. That was what it took.
So another aspect of the move was trying to figure out how I was going to transport my animals, my family, and everything that they needed, as well as whatever I was going to need to live in Mexico until the stuff that I was shipping with the mover was going to get down there. So I needed about a month's worth of goods to live on. I have a 2005 Honda Element that is just a wonderful car, is very roomy and spacious, and opens up so that it has easy access to everything inside. I went and tried to lay out everything that I needed to take and give consideration as to how I was going to pack that. I got Wookie a little dog car seat called a Pup Saver, and I ended up installing it backwards. It's supposed to be installed with the high part towards the windshield, but he absolutely refused to sit on it that way. He would just stand up and mash the back down. So I turned it around and lashed in with some strapping to make sure it was secure. The next issue was how to transport the cats comfortably and securely. Cats don't like to usually travel in the car very much, and so I had to find some way of not only securing them, transporting them in and out of the car to the motels, but to have a litter box for them. So I got this K&H Pet Products foldable cage for them that I secured really carefully with straps in the car. Then I got a really tall plastic bin and cut a hole in the side so that they filled it with kitty litter. I opened up one end of the soft carrier and put the litter box right behind that so they could actually walk between the carrier and the litter box and access it when they needed to during the drive. I did line the entire cat carrier with piddle pads and lined the seats of the car with black plastic sheeting because there were occasional accidents, and when they would get scared they might spray, so I wanted to protect the seats. When I'd have to get them in and out of the car to go in and out of a motel morning and night, I was able to get in the side door, close the car up, and sit in this side seat of the back seat, get the cats out, put them in their carriers, and then carry them in, or vice versa, putting them back into their carriers. Both Felix and Gator adapted really well to the routine of riding in the car in this comfortable little carrier, and they seem to have no problems and no hang-ups about getting in and out day and night. One thing I realized fairly early on was that I was not going to be able to fit cat carriers, the usual rigid kind, into my car along with all this other stuff. So I found these really cool cloth carriers from Frisco. I got them from Chewy.com, and they fold completely flat and just tuck into a little small compartment in the car. With Felix, I had to add a little clip on the top because he was clever and was able to figure out how to unzip these things from the top. It became clear that I was not going to be able to fit all of my own belongings into the car after I got all of the cat and dog carriers and paraphernalia and food and blankets and all that into the car. So I got this car top carrier, which worked really well. Of course, my car is a 2005, so I was a little nervous about driving it that far. I got brand new tires, had a total checkup by the mechanic, got a new drive belt put on, and basically everything looked like it was in really good shape and I would have no mechanical difficulty. For my own comfort, I got a honeycomb foam pad to go on my seat to absolutely make sure that I was going to be able to sit and drive for hours and hours on end. And also I did a lot of practice drives with the kitties. Every time we had to show the house, I would pack up the dogs and the cats and we'd go for a drive while the house was being shown, or go sit in a parking lot somewhere, just stationary, with them in the carrier so they got used to using the cat box and just knowing that it was going to be okay, that it was only temporary. And they got used to it, and they were really actually kind of happy back there. So to end with, I am going to put in a little slideshow that I did when I was getting ready to sell the house, and it just sort of captures the beauty of my place and everything I put into it, and helps me remember the place that I will never be able to live again, but it was a happy place. Anything is possible. See you next time.